Hi friends! So prepare yourselves because this could get cryy. I have something to show you. Yep, that's a pregnancy test and yeah, there's two lines there. What? That's kind of what I thought when that happened. Wait a minute, you gave up on fertility treatment. Yes, I did. And so, let me just tell you the story. So I, as you may have known or not known, did a whole bunch of fertility, spent gobs and gobs of time and energy, and a whole hell of a lot of money, trying to get pregnant, via a donor, and it didn't work. And, so my fertility doctor and I decided that I should stop because she didn't think I was going to have success going forward. And it was horrible, the experience on me, physically and emotionally. So I stopped, you know, and kind of took months and months to start feeling better and not be so upset about it all. And in that process, I met a person, and well, I met a boy and we did a thing, and I wasn't really that worried about, getting pregnant. Because I was like, well, that's the least of our worries, you know. However, so anyway, long story short, we didn't use all the safety precautions that we could have, you know, which we should have because syphilis is a real thing, whether your ovaries work or not. Anyway, so that happened. And a couple of weeks or whatnot, not even weeks after that, I started thinking, you know, my body has started to function like a normal person's does. Weird. And then I started, like, this little feeling in my brain was like, you know, if your body's working normally, it should be time for it to be working again. What the heck? So this little feeling inside, I thought, I've got a stockpile of pregnancy tests, from all of the other times and whatnot. Let's just see, because there's no way, and that would just be really, that would be too much. So, and then this happened. There were two lines, and there'd never ever been even like a faint line or anything. So I panicked a little, but I was also like, oh my, you know, this could be what I wanted and what I waited for and hoped for all those times. So I called my doctor and I said, you know, and they're like, oh, Bethany, it's nice to hear from you, you know, whatever, pleasantries. And I said, by chance, do people get pregnant on their own the good old-fashioned way after fertility treatment? And the lady, she kind of giggled at me and she said, well, sometimes, you know, like it has happened, you know, we can kind of jumpstart you a little bit. And I was like, would have been nice information to know before. So they said, well, you know, regardless of however faint you think the line is or whatever, you need to come in and have a blood test, because something is different this time, you know. And meanwhile, they're all congratulating me on finding a partner. And I said very calmly to them, I said, I don't know if I have a partner, you know, forever. I said I may have just had one for one evening. Oops. So I went in and I had a blood test, and they called me later and they said, Bethany, you're pregnant. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was, but she said, however, your pregnancy hormone is extremely low. So there's one of two options. Number one being is that it's just the very, very beginning of the pregnancy, and then the hormone will increase dramatically. She says, or you're not pregnant anymore, you were pregnant, and then the hormone is actually dropping. And so when I heard that, I thought, okay, you know, that's probably what's happened, just because I knew the exact date of when things went down. And so I was like, well, that's probably what happened. And it turns out that is what happened. So I'm not pregnant. I mean, this happened months ago. So I would show you if I was pregnant. I would tell you. Anyway, it's not that kind of an announcement. Sorry if you were waiting for that. Anyway, so a couple of days later, I went back for a second blood test, and then my pregnancy hormone was 0. But I have to say that was horrible. This experience of accidentally getting pregnant was way worse than all of those times of trying, you know, purposefully to get pregnant, because it was almost like a cruel joke, you know, like I had sort of resolved that this wasn't going to happen for me. You know, I'd kind of moved on, like I spent months grieving this whole process and being so upset about it, that then when this happened, it really was like a cruel joke. I didn't understand the point of it. You know, like, why did this happen? You know, like, why put me through more heartache and pain for nothing? So it was, I mean, because they called me again during the day, you know, like they do after I have my blood test, and normally I can kind of hold it together, even though I know, like, the past times when they've called me, I've been like, okay, you know, like, it's okay, but I was just hysterical. It was like this huge wound had been reopened, and I mean, other than to say that it really was just this, like, cruel situation, you know, like, I didn't get why this happened. It was heartbreaking. So I don't know. And then I think, and so this, like I said, this happened, several months ago. It actually happened, right. I found out, a couple of weeks before Christmas, I think, was when it kind of all, ended. But it was kind of, I mean, I guess it was a little bit special in a sense that for a minute I was pregnant. You know, like, I had the test and like they had told me at the doctor, you know, like, yes, this is considered a pregnancy. So that part was kind of awesome, because I didn't think that was ever gonna happen. I didn't know, you know, like, I'd kind of given that up. And so for half a second, it really, like, it was true. It wasn't just this hope or this desire, like, it was the truth. And so that was kind of great. I mean, I got to tell my mama that I was pregnant, even though it wasn't the way that I had thought that I wanted or any of that, you know, like, I mean, I didn't really plan to have another person involved, and then all of a sudden there was another person involved, and, you know, that was hard. And so I don't know. So as a result of this, you know, being actually pregnant and then not pregnant, they asked me to come back and see the fertility doctor again, just because they wanted to make sure that nothing else had gone wrong, or, you know, like, you kind of have to get yourself checked out when these situations happen. So I went back to see my fertility doctor, and she kind of agreed that this was a cruel joke, and she couldn't really explain it either, you know, why my body had decided to ovulate on its own and then get pregnant. The only explanation that she could have was that maybe, you know, whatever had happened kind of had, like, jump-started my body into being like, oh, you should ovulate all the time now. And some of the pills and shots and things were probably just doing more harm than good in terms of, like, stimulating my ovaries too much to where they just made a lot of cysts and stuff. So there was that. But I guess one positive to take away from it is, she said that if I were in the future to want to be pregnant again, or want to, like, try any of this process again, that my body would remember that it had been pregnant, and so it wouldn't immediately, like, try to end it or do whatever. Like, if anything, being pregnant and then not remaining pregnant, like, helps you in a way to stay pregnant the next time. So, okay. But she still said that there's no point in going back to, like, especially not the same donor. Like, she recommended if I wanted to try a donor again to pick a different one. And that it would still, I mean, there's never going to be any guarantee. But she was kind of hopeful that if I wanted, you know, like, I'm not out of time. Like, I'm not, the reason why they say that fertility decreases so much when you get past 35 is that your ovarian reserve, like the number of eggs that you have, decreases. But mine is so high because I probably ovulated like 5 times, in my life. So she says that there's really not that big of a concern. And that maybe, sometime down the road, you know, like, if I were to find someone who wanted to have a baby with me, or I wanted, you know, I could probably just make it happen, you know, the good old-fashioned way, which totally goes against everything that I thought and that I felt. You know, people kept saying, oh, well, when you meet the right person, it'll just happen for you. And I'm like, no, my ovaries are broke, but apparently they're fixed now. So now they work like clockwork, which is a little bit annoying because I'm like, I would like you to stop that. So it was a good meeting with the doctor, but it was kind of funny because at the end I said, now, I realized that most people don't come to you for this. And she kind of smiled at me and she said, you need contraceptives, don't you? I said, yes. I said, I need birth control from my reproductive medicine specialist. But yes. So that, I can't describe the pain that this experience was so much worse than some of the other pains. But I have to kind of look at it as a positive, like, well, maybe it can work, you know, because I never got a positive. So, who knows? But at this point, I'm not going back to fertility treatment because it, like, the stress of it almost killed me. And then to have this situation happen right afterwards was like, I can't do anymore. And so my desire to be a parent right now by myself is not as strong, as it was at one point. I mean, I know myself and I know what I can and cannot tolerate, and I just can't do that again. I can't. And so I'm okay waiting maybe to meet that person and then trying something. But I'm also okay if it doesn't happen, you know. I'm not so desperate for this thing anymore in my life. I mean, would I like it? Yes. Like, would it be great? Yes. But it's not something that I absolutely have to have in order to have happiness in my life. Like, I am fine without it. Like, I think that the risk of putting myself through more of this trauma is much higher than that risk of living my life and not having a baby. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I mean, I guess people's bodies just do weird stuff. So I was pregnant at the end of my fertility treatments the normal way. So it was crazy, but yeah, so that is what happened. And I waited so long because it really did take me quite a long time to kind of get over this process again. And I also so that's why we're a little late with this announcement. But it really, I mean, it's okay. But yeah, so I mean, maybe someday I'll be a mama or I won't, and it will be okay. I mean, but for now I'm taking birth control and everybody's wearing everything they need to wear now, because I don't need any more. I don't need another oops in my life. But yeah, so the irony. But yeah, so that's what happened. You know, maybe, I don't know. But yes, so I I think it's time finally to throw this away because, you know, I don't need it anymore. But yeah, it was kind of special, kind of great, but kind of horrible. Like how I think of most of this experience has been of trying to be a mama. But it'll be okay, because until then, I know that I'm okay about it all. So I don't know. All right. Thank you. Bye.